the humble, or not so humble, Gransfors Bruks Small Forest axe. It's a thing of beauty. They're an amazing piece of kit. I actually probably fetishize mine a little bit. It is a supremely good, bushcrafting axe. There is a reason that generally when you see someone working with an axe in the woods on a bushcraft channel, it's this one. It's small enough to fit in your pack, and yeah, this one I've had, let me think, probably at least 15 years, possibly more like 18. So that speaks to the quality of the product. So when I bought mine nearly 20 years ago, it was 60 quid because they weren't well known, and that seemed like a lot for an axe at the time. It's possibly a lot for an axe now, but now they'll retail at about £120 if you wanted to buy one. I can't say that it's the best in the world, but I am amazingly hard on all my woodcraft kit, and this one has lasted. It's survived my ownership for nearly 2 decades. So yeah, thing of beauty. It is just the right length to put in a pack and process firewood and split stuff down. I've made campfire furniture with it. It's excellent for very, very rough woodworking. You can take a smallish tree down with it. I wouldn't go for anything much wider than the head, which is about 3.5 inches. It weighs about 1.5 kilos. It's like 3 pounds or so, and yeah, I've never had a problem with it, and I've never regretted spending the money on it. So if you were going to get a different type of axe, I'd say look for a Wetterlings or a Hultafors axe, but really the best axe is the one that you have. This is, this remains quite an expensive handmade axe. I think there's a reason that people like Ray Mears and Bear Grylls have been seen using one. You need to take care of it. You need to make sure that you give it a bit of a sharpen now and again, and that you protect it from the elements, because it is a wooden handle. So let's move on to my mods, and we'll take a look at what I've added to it. So as you can see right at the top, I've got a paracord wrap, and this is to protect the front of the handle, which can get chewed up when you manage to bed it into a piece of wood that you're chopping. You can chip away at the handle, which will weaken it. The more impact you get on that part of the handle means the more likely it is that at some point it will break. And I didn't want to have to replace the handle of the axe, although you can do so. Gransfors do sell a replacement axe handle, but it will cost you about 25 quid. So more than some other axes. So yeah, a simple paracord wrap will deflect a lot of the impacts. And also, if you look at the handle, if you've already gone and looked at a Gransfors Bruks axe, you'll see that this is a slightly different colour to the axe handle. I haven't replaced the axe handle, but what I did is I gave it a bit of a sand, and to protect it against the elements, when I was living off grid for 5 years in Yorkshire on the Pennines, I sanded it down, cleaned it off, and then rubbed in, just using some tissue paper, ordinary vegetable oil. Now there are people that will tell you that you cannot use vegetable oil because it will go rancid, and I'm here to tell you this hasn't happened. I did this 10 years ago, and it has certainly protected the axe. It has meant I haven't had to replace the handle, and I consider that a successful mod. So the final mod I'll show you now. So the final mod that I've done on this, apart from oiling the handle and providing a paracord wrap for the top, is this. Let's admit it, it's a fairly scrappy axe head cover made out of a simple piece of leather folded over the top of the axe, and with a little sliver of leather placed in between the two halves where the blade is, and then just simply overstitched with some very strong cotton 3 or 4 times. Now I fully expect no matter what cordage I stitched that together with, it would eventually break. So I've punched some relatively big holes in it, and if I ever do need to repair it, I can repair it in the field. But that hasn't happened yet. The white cord that secures the axe to the cover, I've left deliberately long because it's not paracord, it's a piece of lawnmower pull cord, which is pre-stretched. And the reason that's on there is if I ever really need to make a fire bow and I've got my axe, the one piece of equipment that I can't make easily. The cordage is already prepared. It's not going to stretch. It's not going to fail because it's got wet. It's very tightly braided nylon cord. So if you need some absolutely brilliant cordage, then look no further than a dead lawnmower, or you can buy it by the meter off eBay. So yeah, so I just folded a piece of leather over the top, cut it to shape, stitched it closed at the front, and then punched a couple of holes at the back so I could thread it onto the axe. And with the cover in place, I've made sure that the back of the axe, the pole, can be used as a hammer or a mallet if I need to do that. So yeah. So that brings us to the ends of the mods. It's a brilliant axe. I haven't had to buy another one, so that should be a part of your thinking. But as I said before, Wetterlings and Hultafors are pretty much made by the same people. So if you buy one of their axes, it may not be the snazziest axe in the world, but it will be an amazing axe. I really rate the people that make Gransfors Bruks. And yeah, if you're just starting out in bushcrafting, you could choose to get an axe that costs a fraction of the price and it could serve you really well. Your mileage may vary, but when I was starting to bushcrafting, I splashed out a bit of money on my tools, and this was the one that I got after watching Ray Mears and all sorts of other people use one. And if you watch people doing bushcraft videos, a lot of the time they'll have one of these. Can't recommend it enough. It was worth every penny. Whether if I was starting bushcrafting now, I would spend £120 on an axe is a bit debatable. I'd probably go for a Wetterlings or a Hultafors, you know, any wood-handled axe, because, you know, if you treat it right, a wood-handled axe will actually protect your hands in a way that a synthetic handled axe generally won't. But yeah, it's not me saying this is the axe you should buy. This is just a review of, I'm trying to do these at least 5 years. In the case of this axe, more like 18. So, you know, you be the judge. If you want an axe that will last you 20 years, if you look after it, you're not reckless with it, you give it a sharpen every so often, this could be the axe for you. Thank you for watching. Do take care.